and welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. In this video, I will show you how to make the Golden Waves throw. This is a free pattern available at redheart.com. I'll put a link to the pattern and the materials list in the video description box right down there below. While you're down there, please smash that like button, as my kids say, to let people know you enjoyed this video. Just so that you and I are on the same page, this is an intermediate pattern. However, I am going to walk you through step by step everything you need to know in order to complete this really great throw. With my help and a little bit of patience, you can create this really wonderful pattern. Go ahead and grab your hook, worsted weight yarn, free pattern, join me back here and we will jump right in. Sometimes you see a pattern on the internet and it immediately speaks to you. And for me, that was this particular throw. I begged Red Heart to let me do a video for this throw so that many of you could run out and make this piece as well. As you look down here, you can see a swatch I've worked up using the Golden Waves throw stitch pattern. I don't know if you can see the really cool cable stitches and how they look like they zigzag up and down, and they're separated by columns of double crochets. I'm going to lift this up. Maybe you can see it if it's kind of on the diagonal. Can you see that? How those stitches? It's really cool. And what's awesome about this pattern is it is reversible. On either side, you get those really great stitches. Over here, it goes just like this. So down here, the bottom, they look like they come out. On the opposite side, they start in. And so that makes this particular throw pattern reversible, which is really great when you're just going to throw a blanket on your couch, right? So let's learn how to do these really fantastic and surprisingly easy cable stitches. We do not work them through actual post. We are working them through the stitch, which makes it super easy. So I'm going to move that swatch out of the way. I'm grabbing some worsted weight yarn and a size I or a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, and we'll begin with a slip knot. Put that slip knot directly onto your hook, and the stitch multiple for this pattern is 10 plus 3. If you're working along with the actual pattern instructions, you want to go ahead and chain 133. If you're going to do a swatch like me, you need to chain 23. As you get to the number of chains you need to complete, we'll move on to row 1, and row 1 is a right side. We will start off by working a single crochet in the second chain from hook. You never count the loop on your hook as a stitch, so we will take our hook and working through either the back loop or grabbing the back loop and that center one. You kind of see if I like stab that chain, I get that kind of like I call it the butt of the stitch and the back loop. And I like to crochet along those stitches. So I'm going to put a single crochet there. And then I'm going to do the same thing into each chain all the way down my row. I prefer this way of working into the chains when I'm going to be adding a border around something, and it just makes it so that my stitches are nice and secure. So this is a really great way to start off your project. When you finish with the last single crochet, what I need you to do is go ahead and turn your work. We will now begin row 2. Row 2 has a start with a chain 3, and this chain 3 will count as a double crochet now and throughout. What that means is you do not want to work a stitch into that first space right there, because that chain 3 counts as the stitch that would normally go there. So our first stitch will actually go over here. We begin with a double crochet, so we yarn over our hook, go into that stitch. Notice I'm going into both of the loops, so I have the entire top of the stitch on my hook as I yarn over and pull through a new loop. Then I yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. That completes one double crochet. Now you'll notice in the pattern, this is where there is an asterisk or a star. All that means is that all of the instructions after the star are going to be your repeat. This is where you will repeat these instructions all the way down the row. So here we go. We begin with a 2x2 treble left cross, and the instructions for that is written in the special stitches of the pattern. You will yarn over your hook 2 times. We will skip 2 single crochet, and going into the next one, we will insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. You now have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Now we need to do that again. So we yarn over our hook twice, go into the next stitch over from the one you just completed, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back to these 2 stitches that we skipped, and we're going to work into those stitches, completely ignoring these 2 trebles we just completed. So what we will do is yarn over our hook twice, and we're going to come back to the first stitch we skipped first. So I'm going to come back to the first stitch I skipped, go into it. Let me do this again. I like to hold those on my hook. It keeps them in place. Go into that stitch, and see how I have to put my hook, essentially it's in front of those stitches I just completed, so that way I'm not working around them. I yarn over my hook and I pull up a loop, okay? I yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. So that's the first one. I still have another stitch to work into right there, so I gotta go over there. So I yarn over my hook twice, come over here to that stitch. Remember, I'm ignoring all the stitches I've already created. So I'm going to go into that stitch and see how my hook is just kind of, it's like resting on those trebles that I started off with. So I'm not working around them. I yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Even though we crocheted those stitches out of order, you'll notice that at the top, we still have this nice clean line of stitches working along. It's just down here that the stitches look like they are crossed over, right? Because it's a left cross. Now what we're going to do is do the exact same thing with the exception of we will be going behind the first 2 stitches we create, okay? So here we go. This is a 2x2 treble right cross. Yarn over your hook twice, skip 2 single crochets, go into the next single crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over your hook twice, go to the next single crochet over from the one you just completed, from the stitch you just completed, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Now, like before, we have to come back to these skip stitches that we missed, right? But this time, instead of going in front, we are going to work behind, okay? So we yarn over our hook twice. I'm going to come back to the first one. So I'm going to come behind the stitches I just created. See how I'm behind here? And I'm going to go into that first single crochet. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. We have to do that again. Yarn over our hook twice. I kind of hold these out of the way. I'm going to come back. I'm going to this single crochet. That's the one I skipped. I'm going into it, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Once again, even though we crocheted these out of order, we still have a nice clean line right up here at the top. We would finish this off, as far as finish off the repeat, by working a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 and 2. You see that? That is the full repeat from this stitch all the way to these 2 double crochets. That's what you would repeat every 10 stitches, okay? So we want to do that all the way down. Now with my 23 stitches I did here for a swatch, I have one more set of repeats to do. So this will give me a chance to show you one more time how this works, okay? So let's work with me here and follow along. We go back to star, so we begin with a 2 by 2 treble left leaning. So I skip 2, go into the 3rd, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over our hook twice, go into the next one, go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Now remember, this one we're going to go in front of these 2 stitches we just worked, and we're going to work into that one first and then that one second. So I yarn over twice, come back over here to this first one. I'm going to go into that single crochet, and I want to make sure I'm not just going in like this, because I want to show you why. If I do that, I put my yarn over, see how it encapsulates those stitches there, and I don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that when you go in, let's see if I can show you here. When I go into this single crochet down here, I'm making sure I bring my hook back up in front of those treble crochets I've already completed. And that will make it so that way when I do this yarn over, I'm not encapsulating those stitches I already made. Does that make sense? So now I can just finish off working my treble. I have to do it again, okay? So I've yarned over twice. I'm going to come over here. This is the stitch I want to go into. So I go into it, and remember, I want to make sure I just come up here. I'm in front of the trebles I created. Take your time with this. I know it's a fiddly at first, but you can do this, I promise. Pull that stitch up and then complete the treble crochet. Let's take a look at what it looks like. Ta-da! So we have to do another 2 by 2 treble crochet right cross. So we skip 2, do a treble into the next one, do a treble into the following single crochet, and this time we're going to come back to these 2 skip stitches, but we're going to come behind. So I yarn over twice, okay? Remember, I like to hold those yarn overs. I'm going to come behind. I'm going to go into this skip stitch first. I'm going to just pop in. So see how I'm coming? I'm in front and I'm just popping right into it. Pull up a stitch, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. To do that again, so I yarn over twice, come over here. See, I'm in front of those stitches I created. Go into the skipped single crochet. So I'm into that stitch, and then I just complete my treble crochet into that stitch. I'm to the last 2 stitches of the row, and they are just double crochets. Pretty simple. Pretty neat, right? Pretty neat. I'm going to set this down so we can take a look, and we can already begin to see that our crosses are going one direction and the opposite direction. The really cool part is by this point, you already know all the stitches you need to know. This is it. The thing here is that it has a row 3, which is essentially a repeat of row 2, only we're not working into single crochets. We're working into the stitches we just created. And then you continue on working the blanket, just repeating row 3 to your desired length. So, because I know that this is new for all of you and I want to show you how to do this again, let me show you how to work row 3 one more time, okay? Bear with me here. I know this makes the video a little bit longer, but I really, truly believe that if you're an absolute beginner, you can get this. It will take some practice, but I know you can do this. Let's work together on it. I'm going to pick up my work and I'm going to go ahead and turn it. I know you can chain 3 and turn, or turn and chain 3, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm not going to put a stitch into this first one right here because that chain 3 counts as a stitch. Yarn over my hook once, and into this double crochet I will place a double crochet. Okay, now here we go. We're going to start off with our cable stitches here, or our crossovers. So we're going to 2 by 2 treble left cross. Yarn over our hook twice. I'm going to skip 2 stitches, go into the next one, and I'll work my treble crochet. By this point, I think you know how a treble crochet works, so I'm not going to talk through it. I feel like you probably know how it is. And then we want to make sure we yarn over our hook twice again, go into the next stitch, and work our treble crochet. Okay, no stitch left behind, so you got to come back to these ones right here, okay? And we're going to do a left, so we want to go in front. So we yarn over twice. We're going to go over to the second one. Okay, so I'm coming over here to this one right here, and I just want my hook to go just through that stitch, okay? So I'm going to come over, put my hook through just that stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. All right, so I lied. I talked you through that one. We have to do the next stitch, so I yarn over the hook twice, go into this stitch right here, so I'm going to go into the stitch, make sure I come up. See, I'm on top of my stitches there. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then complete my treble crochet. As I put my work just like normal, you can see I'm still nice and straight right here. So now we're over here to this part. We have a 2 by 2 treble right cross. Yarn over your hook twice, skip over 2 stitches, work a treble into the next stitch, work a treble into the following stitch, and now we're going to come back to the stitches we skipped, right? So there's one right there, there's one right there, and this time we're going to go behind. So I'm going to go to this first one, I go in it, and I kind of scoop up. Can you guys see that? So I'm coming back here, there's my stitch I want to work into. I'm going to pop in it and scoop up. Yarn over, make sure I pull that loop through just that stitch, and then complete my treble crochet. Yarn over my hook twice, come back over here. This is the stitch I want to work into, is right there. I'm going to pop my hook in it, come up, yarn over, pull up my loop through that stitch, and complete my treble crochet. When all is said and done, I'm still one long line going on there. I now work the next double crochet into a double crochet, and the same thing in the next one. And there you go, we just worked a repeat. You see, this one, we did the same thing on this row, but because of the nature of the crossovers, we're getting this kind of look going on. Pretty neat, right? Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We keep repeating row 3 for the entire blanket. Now, remember, this is your stitch pattern repeat right here, those 10 stitches. So I have to do those 10 stitches again over here on this side. So let me go ahead and do that. Why don't you follow along with me and see if you can keep up. When you get to the end here, you want to make sure that you work into the 3rd chain of that turning chain. Don't just work into that big space. You want to make sure you go into the actual chain, okay? It just makes a nice cleaner edge. And as I set this down, you can see I'm beginning to get my really cool stitch pattern. Now, in the interest of maybe making this a little bit easier for you, I'm going to change colors for the next row so that way you can see a contrasting color onto the stitches that you are working. And maybe that will help some of you who are still struggling a little bit see a little bit better, okay? So in your actual throw, you would not change colors, but I'm going to change colors to hopefully show you how these stitches work up a little bit easier. All right, if this were our work, we'd go ahead and we would chain 3 and turn, or turn and chain 3, it doesn't matter. So I have changed colors, that way hopefully you can see how these stitches work again. I'm going to yarn over my hook. I'm not going to work into this first one, I work into the second one, and I place a double crochet. Now this is where my repeat begins. I'm going to yarn up. This is where my repeat begins. You ready? Let's yarn over our hook twice to prep it for the treble crochet. We skip 2, go into the next one, and work our treble. Yarn over our hook twice, go into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, and work our treble. Now, I'm going to go in front of these stitches I just created, and I'm going to work into these stitches back here. No stitch left behind, remember. Yarn over your hook twice, come back to the first one you skipped first, and I'm going to go into just that stitch. Okay, can you see that? I'm just into that stitch. I'm not around those stitches I created. That's just the stitch there. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. We have another one, remember, so yarn over your hook twice. Here it is right there. So I'm going to come over here, make sure I go through just that stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Hopefully this is helping you guys out. We have to do the 2x2 treble right cross this time, so we skip 2, go into the following, and work our treble. Work a treble into the next one. Now we're going to go back into the stitches we skipped, but we're going to go behind. So I yarn over my hook twice, come behind, there's my stitch right there. Remember what I said, I like to poke my hook into it and then scoop it up. Yarn over, pull that loop just through the stitch, and then complete my treble crochet. We have one more to do. So I go behind those, find the stitch you're looking for, pop into it and scoop at it so that way you just have that stitch. You can even push those stitches you created forward so that way you can just see that stitch. So there it is right there. Let's try this again. Here's the stitch we want to work into. So if I yarn over my hook twice, I'm going to go into that stitch there and I'm going to pull up a loop. Trying to show you several different ways that you can find the stitch you're looking for. Hopefully this will speak to all of you. Now I'm to the end of my repeat where I finish with 2 double crochets, 1 in each of the double crochets right there. And that's my full repeat. You can see we're going back this direction again. Okay, so that's where we get the zigzag. Let me go ahead and complete the other repeat of this row. If you are feeling adventurous, go ahead and try and keep up with me. All right, so maybe that's not the fastest I've ever gone, but those of you who tried to keep up with me, congratulations, you did a good job. All right, let's take a look at what we have here. We started off with a nice row of just basic single crochets, and that's what we started to build our fabric on, right? We went back and we did our full repeat. We have a chain 3, which counts as a double, and then we did a double, a 2x2 treble left cross. See how it leans to the left? Then we did a 2x2 treble right cross, and then 2 double crochets. That is our repeat right there. Then we repeated it over here. We turned our work. When we turned our work, we repeated this same row, working back that direction. So we turn our work, and we have the 2x2 treble left cross, 2x2 treble right cross, 2 doubles, so on and so forth. By repeating the same row back to back, we are getting this really cool sort of diamond look all the way up, which makes this blanket reversible. Super cool, right? Hopefully, looking at this with the different color, as we just did, helps you see where you actually work into those stitches and how you go into them as you're going either to the front or to the back. When the blanket reaches the length you want, you finish off with one more row of single crochets. It's really simple. You pick up your work, chain 1 and turn, or turn and chain 1, and then you are literally just going to put a single crochet in each one of the stitches down the row. You do not have to cross over the stitches or guess which ones they are, because as I've pointed out all the way along, even though we're crossing over those stitches or working them out of order, we are still in a nice line at the top of the row, right? We still have this nice line of stitches, making it very easy to work these single crochets all the way across. Just as we started with single crochets, we finished with single crochets, which makes it a nice, simple edging, right, at this point. But there is a border. We want to go ahead, and when we get to the end of this particular row of single crochets, we will not fasten off because we're going to continue on with the border stitches. As soon as you finish your single crochets, you jump right into the border, which is really easy. It's just one full round of double crochets and then one full round of single crochets through the back loop only. When you work the double crochet round, you want to make sure you are evenly spacing those double crochets as best you can. The instructions have you begin the border with a chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and turn your work. You will then place 2 more double crochets into this first single crochet. This will act as the border. This center double crochet there will have 3 single crochets built into it on the following round, and that will make it so it's a nice curved edge. Once you complete that corner, you go ahead and complete double crochets all the way down the row, and you will place 3 double crochets in the last single crochet of this row. In the last single crochet, place 3 doubles. Again, this is your corner. And now you're ready to work along the edge of the piece. You will not work into this single crochet edge, but working along each double crochet edge, you want to place double crochets as evenly spaced out as you can. I know that for me, it works out best if I do a couple double crochets into each double, and then maybe every 4th or 5th stitch, I'll put 3 double crochets in. Just makes it nice and clean. And the more you can keep the edges the same, like the same number of doubles on this side as you will have on this side, the cleaner your blanket will look. When you get to the edge, you want to make sure that you do not work into that single crochet that you worked on the very first row. You don't want to work into that. We're going to come over here and working into the loop that we did not work into when we did our single crochets into the foundation chain, we will now be working into that loop. So this very first loop is right here, and I need to go ahead and yarn over because I need to place 3 double crochets right there, because again, this is my corner. Once I've done that, oh, there's a knot in my yarn. Knots happen, guys. It happens, it happens. don't crochet over a knot. Go ahead and cut it out. I'm going to cut out my knot, and I'm even going to leave this in the video so you can see. I'm going to cut out my knot, and I'm simply just going to continue on and yarn over. You'll see I have a partially completed double crochet there. I'm going to yarn over with my new yarn and just carry on. I'm going to leave the tails and I'll weave those in later. Knots happen. Life goes on. Don't stress it. It's one of those things that you just can't help. The mill is trying to get all of the yarn they can in each skein. So don't let it stress out your day. Just keep on working. So I'm going to move on to the next loop, and I simply just work a double crochet into the next loop. And I do that all the way down this row. And I do want to make sure I put 3 double crochets in the last one, okay? So when I go like this, see that all closes up. When this gets woven in, that would be nice and closed. It'd be no problem. So let's go ahead and get down here. And those of you who are wondering, usually I will weave in my ends as I go because I have been burned one too many times of waiting to the very end of my project to weave in the ends, and it's too difficult to do that. So typically I would weave in all my ends before I started this point of my blanket, but I wanted to make sure I got this going along for you guys. So you can see here, I'm literally just working into that loop that was free on the foundation chain. And for me, it was just 1 loop, but if you decided to make it so that it was 2 loops free, then great, work through 2 loops. In this last one, make sure you place 3 double crochets. Remember, we want to make sure we're turning that corner. Now, if you're new to my channel and you don't know this, I hate crocheting over ends and using that as a way to weave them in because they inevitably come undone. So I'm just going to move those out of the way and ignore that they're there for now. As I said, usually I would just weave those in and be done, but because I want to just keep going, I want to just move those out of the way and I'll weave them in later. So I would yarn over, make sure you don't work into this first single crochet, and you would go to the next double. I think I skipped too far. Right there, yeah. And you would work all the way down until you get to the start again. And when I get to the start, I will join with a slip stitch. Let's see here. I know there are some of you who are like, well, I just don't understand. I like to crochet over my ends. I do not. I have had way too many baby blankets given to me by wonderful crocheters who just crocheted over the ends, and the ends just pop out the minute I wash it. And so I don't mess around with that. All right, so I'm at the end. I am going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain. That was my 3rd turning chain. Just working right into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull that through, okay? So as I set this down, let's put it this way. Oh, I should have tucked those in. Sorry, guys. So here's what we have so far. I have these rows that look like this, and we have this nice border. The last thing you would do is work 1 more border round of single crochets through the back loop only. That's super duper simple. I'll show you a couple of them here to start, but I'm not going to show an entire round because I really don't feel like you need to see that. But let me show you how to start off. For round 2, you do not turn your work. You simply chain 1, and working into the back loop of the one you just joined into, you work 1 single crochet. And then in the following double crochet, that's where you're going to place 3 single crochets because that's our corner. Now, going along, working only single crochets, which by the way, you guys, is hard once you've been working double crochets for so long, so make sure you pay attention. We're just going to work through the back loop only, and we'll work single crochets all the way around, making sure that at all of the center double crochets at the corners, we place 3 single crochets. Can you see that? See how nice that looks right there? You get this nice, lovely little edge. Since I have you here, why don't I go ahead and show you that sample that I started off with so you can see what the finished edge looks like. Ta-da! Here you go. So we're back to where we started. You can now see these cables a little bit better, right? Let me tilt it up a little bit so you can see how those work up. And then this is just the 2 rows border, and the designer has you finish off with some cool tassels at the corner, which I love the idea of tassels. If you need instructions for tassels, I have a video for that right here. I'll be sure to put a button right up there, that little I button, just so you can see how to make tassels. But this is it. This is such a cute blanket to finish up, and this really will expand your crochet skills. Those of you who are beginners, take your time. Find those stitches just like I showed you how to do, and you will create a blanket that is simply a showstopper. You will stun all of your friends and family as you have this over your couch or over your chair or across your bed or wherever it is that you want to have this really lovely golden waves throw. You won't be disappointed in it. If you make this throw, be sure to share with me on social media. Use hashtag #MarleyBird so that way I can find you and smash your like button. I'll talk to you guys again soon. I'm Marley Bird, proud national spokesperson for Red Heart Yarns. Bye. Hey, thanks for joining me today on the channel. If you want more videos just like that one, check out some of these other videos that I've already handpicked for you. And don't forget to hit subscribe so that way you're up to date whenever I release a new video. And don't forget, smash that like button, as my kids say. Bye guys.